Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I want to talk to my chosen ones about knowing what spiritual season you are in. Gotta be aware of your spiritual seasons because you can throw your whole cycle off loop if you're not aware of your spiritual cycles. What kind of dove me into this today was, y'all see the weather is changing, it's shifting. I'm in VA, so it's always bouncing all over the place, but March is making its way back around. That means the real New Year's is on its way back around the corner. Our springtime is the real New Year's. You will never know what's actually happening and how following the Gregorian calendar is throwing your balance off within yourself and your vessel. So the system has us changing New Year's during the middle of a season, which if we're following natural law and we didn't have this information that man gave us to follow in the calendar, then we would naturally know our physical seasons by the years. We know each year that's been around by the seasons. Every time winter comes around, we know it's a new year. Every time spring come around, we know it's a new year. We keep track of the days by the sun. You keep track of the months by the moon. But when you have all of these things out of an alignment, it makes it hard for your body to follow its natural algorithms. That's why one of the reasons the physical season, the system set it to be in January, in the middle of winter season. Now I use these physical seasons as a representation because everything outside of us is a reflection of our inner space. So when you understand that your real New Year doesn't start January 1st when the system says it starts, the New Year starts when the Creator says it starts, when all the flowers, the fruits, everything that starts blooming and blossoming around springtime is when you see it coming back up. That's when you know the New Year is here. But the way you correlate that internally, I usually use during the springtime, we usually tend to want to be more of a, we planting our seeds in our soils, we getting all our nutrients, all our fruits, veggies, medicines, we getting all of that stuff grown and prepared for the wintertime. Around these times is usually when you are doing the most, well, not right this minute, but as spring gets here and summer gets here, we usually do more sowing around that time. So that way we can reap during the winter time because we don't want to be out back with no resources when it's winter time. Following natural law. But when you correlate these things into the spiritual realm, you'll have people around you that you will see may be in a spring, summer season. You may see some people that's in their reaping season, meaning you're going to see beings around you manifesting physical things that seem more prosperous. Maybe new car, new house, new job, new clothes, new shoes, material items, all of these things, maybe more vacation trips. These beings outside of us, if they're having those times, just speaking in general right now, these beings are in their reaping season. When you match the universe reaping season and if you're in alignment with the people around you reaping season, because you'll be able to travel more when they're moving around because it is your reaping season. You'll be able to purchase more material items. You'll be more, for us over here, we get more fulfilled spiritually. So the things that pertain to having more substance, more value, is the things that we tend to gravitate more towards. But where it gets tricky at when understanding your spiritual seasons is when you're in a sowing season. It's not your reaping season spiritually. meaning that you have a lot more things that you have to implant down. You have a lot more things internally that you are building, growing, watering, tending to, catering, just giving a lot more love and attention to. You'll see other beings around you in their sowing season, and it seems like they're enjoying life, which they could be, they're in a different part of their season. But you have to be aware of your seasons. This is where things got a little tricky for me when I was transitioning out of, coming from like my lower frequencies, moving up to my higher frequencies. And around that time, I kind of wanted to do what my brothers and them was doing around me, meaning, all right, if we got a trip planned down to North Carolina, I want to be able to go to this trip down to North Carolina, If we doing certain things in the city, New York, then, I want to be able to finance myself and be able to do some of these things in the city. Now, just because you have the resources doesn't mean that it is your reaping season. This is how we tend to put ourselves into these weird positions to where things was a little subtle. It was, even. Even to me is when it's just like, it's no motion like going up, it's no motion going down, but it's at a peaceful, even space. You know what I mean? It's not chaotic or anything. It's just even, balanced. You tend to dig into those resources that you're supposed to be harboring, holding for your winter season, and you tend to overuse your resource that you have now when this isn't the season when you should be reaping. Once I start getting a grasp on these things, it made operating around other people a lot easier. And not like it was hard before, but when we young and we not taught certain things, you tend to want to do what your peers are doing around you. And once you start getting to that space of understanding that, okay, this is your season. Some of the people around you may be down, but it's your season. So now, since it's your season to start reaping, now it got your light shining even harder, because now you're not in reaping mode. You're not in sowing mode, and grind mode is hard. Like, the grind is always there, but you don't have to dig as hard and work the same way once your seeds are already been implanted in the soil and once they start sprouting up. Now it's more about your TLC, your tender loving care that you are giving to your seeds, for whatever fruits, veggies, and medicines that you may be growing. Not knowing what season you in can cause you to self-sabotage as well too, because you may have some resources that you needed for a later date, but because the ones around you, or you may have saw something on one of these social medias that made you go use some of your resources, exhort some of your resources outwardly when you wasn't supposed to pass that out yet. This universe outside of us, this is our outer space. Everything out here is outer space. In here is your inner space. The more you comprehend this, the more you understand that you cannot just say we all a reflection of each other, and not understanding that this whole realm is like a reflection of our inner space. Not just my inner space, a collective of all of our inner spaces, which is why it plays out the way that it does in this realm. Your seasons is going to help you understand like a lot of things that you be trying to process and do. It'll let you know if you're rushing something, or if you're being too patient on something, or if you're supposed to just relax and enjoy your fruits. That is a big part of understanding your seasons. Like, we all out here fighting this battle 24/7. So like, if in your process it went from survival mode to grind mode, survival mode, grind mode, you finally start transitioning out of that space, you've already programmed yourself to kind of lead on a higher percentage with grind and survival. So now when it's your reaping season, now you're not really sure how you're supposed to enjoy it or if you're supposed to relax. That's your spiritual sign that you're supposed to enjoy your reaping season. You just putting all this work. You just putting hella work. And now you unsure, you uneasy, you questioning, you self-doubting if you deserve it, if you should, and then you start putting other things in place like, I could do a little bit more of this, I could do that a little bit differently. Over here, the Creator already got us covered. So all you got to do is be aware of the seasons. The thing is, with spiritual time, is you cannot measure it. We cannot measure spiritual time. That's why when they ask you, how long does it take for you to get over certain things? It just happens. There is no, oh yeah, it takes me 3 days to get over this, or it takes me 21 minutes to get over this. That's not how it works in the spiritual realm. That physical time is us spiritual beings being extremely intelligent and mapping out a sequence of the numbers and a certain formula so that way we can keep track of the time. Time is real. I don't like when people say time is not real. Time may not be linear to some of the things that you're equating in your spiritual realm, but time is real. That's why we keep getting older. That's why you aren't allowed to do certain things. Time is extremely real. If you waste too much time, you miss out on something. If you don't get something done in time, it can hinder something else. Like, time is real. Time is real. You don't have to believe in the physical man time. That's just a more accurate, precise time. That's all a man time is. It's just us when we just was in a super intelligent space and we literally, mathematically pinpointed the numbers to the seconds, to the milliseconds, all the way down. So that way we don't have to figure out, okay, it's almost sundown, let's be here. Okay, it's sunup, let's be there. Instead of just going by, the simplicity of the universe signs, we started creating the numbers, which helped us build the time span in between the middle. So if you're not meeting somebody at sunrise or sunset, you need a more accurate time on how you can meet them or link with them or see them. That's peace to the kings and queens, you know what I mean? We got the guys in the back. But yeah, all of these things make a huge difference, Don't get mixed up with some of this information when it starts getting confusing. Once it starts getting confusing, it's okay if it gets confusing in the beginning because it's a seed being planted, so then it takes it a little bit longer and harder to put that seed in the soil. But if it still lingers on you and you're still confused or unsure about it, 9 times out of 10, that's not coming from the source. The source is always very clear. So with time and space is going to bring you clarity. You will get a more accurate answer if it was from the source. So just understanding these things, like knowing your spiritual seasons is going to be huge. When you in wintertime, we know that it gets colder. You get hit with a lot more storms. The weather be trickier. It be harsher. Winter season, in the spiritual realm, if you're not prepared for it, it is a bunch of obstacles. Back to back to back to back to back to back to back. It's obstacles that things that you forgot to do. Now they done spun the block back on you. Then you got your other obstacles, which is the enemy out here working, lining things up, setting little booby traps for you and everybody else like they always do. You know what I mean? And now, since you off balance following their physical system, it's going to throw you off and take you out of synchronicity with the universe. If I want to be in sync with the universe, I got to follow it to the best of my ability. The best of my ability is understanding that the new year does not start in the middle of a winter season. The new year starts when springtime, everything starts, when life starts re-pushing itself back up to the surface. Right now, a lot of things have been dormant because it's not that time of the year, but it's slowly making its way back around there. So just keeping these things in mind will help you be able to paint these pictures inside. It will help you be able to time travel better on the inside. Because a lot of what we doing is time traveling. I know people like to say like, oh, don't overthink it. It's only overthinking if you're the dog chasing your tail. It's not overthinking when you time traveling into an unknown space and you're trying to collectivize as many details as you possibly can. I do it all the time. We time travel to the past, we time travel to the future. It's just with this society, they want you to feel as though you're the vessel, so if you time travel, you have to take this vessel. No, that's not how it works out here. We time traveling consistently. That's why when we are putting ourselves in a space of trying to figure out future plans or ideas, we have to keep traveling to that space spiritually, internally. We're constantly going back there and we're figuring out more precise details each time we go through there. So that way, when it manifests itself, it's almost like it's the next thing to deja vu. Deja vu is usually one of those things that you wasn't really putting a lot of time and space into it. It was one of them spaces you just went to in your spiritual realm. When we being more precise with it, when we are time traveling in our inner space, that's why we usually, and you notice that people can get drained by not doing any physical work. Your spirit just constantly working, it's constantly moving, it's active. You know, I talked to somebody recently and they said, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything. I was just sitting here, not doing anything. And I'm like, we always doing something. Nothing is not a real thing. You never would see a monk sitting down and just say, oh, he's doing nothing. You would assume he's active in his spirit world. You don't have to be called a monk to be active in your spiritual realm. We all are. It's just how much awareness do you have towards it, and are you actually trying to understand what's actually going on and taking place on the inside? But I ain't want to run it up too long, you know what I mean? Just be mindful of your spiritual seasons that you in. They are going to help you along your journey. Just because you see somebody else balling out, it still may be your sowing season. You know, just because you see somebody else having a hard time, it's your reaping season. You got to take yourself somewhere else to where you can actually relax and enjoy it, because some of these beings don't want you to reap anything. So you take that time and space to the people who do care about you and who will celebrate you, or go off into nature. Come out here into life and you do it, and I guarantee you'll get a much better celebration than you would have just trying to force it around other beings. You know what I mean? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.